What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Home of Comics. This is Brayden back again with another My Adventures with Superman review. We're on season 3, episode 4. This episode was mid. I didn't really like it. I don't know. I mean, it was fine. I think the addition of Jonathan Kent to the roster of characters, unfortunately, at this point, is just overcomplicating everything. This show works best when it's able to sort of breathe on its own without needing to have um a million different things going on. I appreciate what we've gotten so far with like the character relationships kind of blooming. I think the show works best when it's just focused on that. As much as I enjoy the overarching storyline, and I guess one of my main complaints initially was like, why hasn't this episode focused more on the main plot? We get Hank Henshaw, sort of, coming into his own as a villain, frustrating Lex, stopping Lex actually from being able to control him, and then frustrating Lex further. And so, from like my perspective, it's like, okay, that's cool. That's like a little bit of progression for the main plot. However, this episode unfortunately also features what I consider to be a really strong lapse in judgment in terms of writing. Jonathan Kent grew up in a world without his parents. Obviously, he was born, but that was kind of it. Um, and he's, as we saw from the last episode, the teaser of the last episode, the epilogue of the last episode rather, we saw him get transported into the past by Lex, saying, you gotta come and save us. Hank Henshaw's going to, destroy the world. He's going to destroy everything we hold dear. Instead, Jonathan Kent spends the entire episode messing around, hanging out with his parents. And like from his perspective, I guess it makes sense. Maybe he thinks he's got more time. He says it explicitly at the end of the episode. Even when I was watching it though, before I knew that something bad was going to happen this episode, I still sat there and I was like, why didn't Jonathan Kent like say anything as to why he was here? They asked him numerous times and he didn't respond. Like they literally had, why are you here? Didn't respond. He was off doing God knows what. Like he's clearly got like an attention problem and isn't willing to like focus on any one thing at any one time. Like he's very much all over the place in this episode, and it makes sense. He's a kid, not like a kid, but probably like 17 if I had to just make an estimate towards his age. Um, so it makes sense that he's just not really that focused on the task at hand. But it is also like you're saving the universe. So if you were really humanity's only hope, I think you would lock in a little bit, especially considering that he is definitely a teenager. At the old, I mean, at the youngest. Um, yeah, I just think that this episode unfortunately wrote itself into a little bit of a hole where they obviously needed to make 10 episodes, but this was definitely more of a filler episode anyway. Yeah, we got introduced to this dynamic of like there's now 5 main characters on the show. But again, like that's we're starting to get too many. Um, I don't feel as attached to each individual character as I used to. Lois obviously is explicitly still struggling with her future problem, where she can't think about the future with Clark, which is fine. That makes sense. It's not a bad character arc. I'm sitting there and I'm like, this show is going to continue to explicitly tell you that this is a problem instead of just it is clearly a problem. Like they don't have to keep saying that it's a problem. Like we know it's a problem. And the writing is just very stale in that it just keeps repeating the same issues. Um and Jimmy and Supergirl's like relationship woes have really only continued into this episode, but at this point like it's on the back burner again because the show has to deal with the Superboy problem now. The show has to deal with the Hank Henshaw problem now, the Cyborg Superman problem now. I don't know. I feel like it's juggling too much. Maybe it would have been better to be released all at once. I feel like weekly episodes, I'm not getting enough of the story to keep me engaged. Obviously, I'm still going to review it. It's still a DC project. I'm still going to do that. And I didn't hate this episode. Like you're going to hear the rating in about 5 seconds, and I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I just feel like it could definitely have done a lot better in terms of its writing. The animation's gorgeous, and the voice acting's great, and there was really not a lot to complain about on those fronts, and it's the reason I keep coming back to a positive rating overall on the show. But I do think that this particular episode is about as weak as I think episode 2. I gave it also a 6. If not, it was episode 1. I just know that I really like the last episode. Either way, the fact that the show is starting to stagnate at a 6 out of 10 for me isn't a good sign because am I going to want a season 4 if I just keep thinking this is mid or maybe a little bit better than mid? Um, I don't know. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments down below on My Adventure Superman Season 3, Episode 4. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you guys in the next My Adventures of Superman review. Peace.